It's time to get back to scouting future Dallas Cowboys here at Dallas Cowboys First. As the editor-in-chief of the College Football America Yearbook, I find myself on the sidelines of major college football games practically every weekend. So I get to see players that could be helpful to the Cowboys up close. For the next few months I'm going to put that work to good use and try and profile some of these players. I'm not a scout and I don't pretend to be. I'm not a well-schooled personnel guy like Brian Broaddus at 105.3 The Fan. I'm going to tell you what I saw that day and where I think the player could be useful. Today I take a look at a player that will be available late in April's draft, West Virginia wide receiver David Sills v. David Sills v. WR, 6'4", 210-pound senior. Sills is a player I've seen several times the past 2 years because I cover the Big 12 for HeartlandCollegeSports.com. At one time, of course, Sills was a highly regarded quarterback prospect who committed early to USC and then head coach Lane Kiffin. Eventually, Sills found himself as a wide receiver at West Virginia. In 2017 and 2018 Sills was one of the game's money players, as he caught 33 touchdown receptions, more than any other player in FBS during that time span. Yeah, that's right, 33 touchdowns. He was college football's red zone nightmare. I saw him play in Morgantown last October when the Mountaineers hosted Baylor in a Thursday night showdown. Sills caught 5 passes for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. We are going to focus on his first reception of the second quarter and his 2 touchdown catches. At the start of the second quarter, Sills caught a 42-yard reception that helped set up a Mountaineers field goal. On this play Sills is set up in the slot next to the outside receiver to quarterback Greer's left. The play starts with the receiver on the right side coming in motion to the left. Greer is in the shotgun with a back to his left. Baylor has 3 defensive backs on the left side, but none are playing either receiver close. The outside receiver is going to run a seam route and about 5 yards from the line of scrimmage Sills is going to pull up and act like he's working a short route. Watch what happens to the defenders. The linebacker in the immediate area stops and then works to sag over to Sills. The outside receiver running the seam route takes the deeper corner with him. That starts to clear that intermediate sideline area for Sills, who comes out of his stutter step and darts upfield. As Sills passes midfield, the linebacker stops and waits in coverage because the running back has moved into the flat and he has to respect a potential screen pass. The corner is now following the seam route. Sills has space to operate. By now, Greer is locked in on Sills. Stop the tape at the 34:06 mark and look at the Baylor defense. There are 8 players past midfield, but none of them have a real play on Sills and the ball is airborne. They're all giving chase. 2 defenders are sucked in on the other receiver. The small stutter step had the desired effect. The only defender that has a play now is the deep safety and he's turned away from Sills. So he has to change direction. But he was playing too deep and he turned too late. He's there when Sills catches the ball, but Sills makes a minor adjustment to his route, turning just inside to avoid the defender and adds yards to the catch. After I got home to watch the game, one thought this was a great example of Sills' feel for route running. With 8:23 to play in the second quarter, Sills caught his first touchdown of the night. I happened to be on the West Virginia sideline for this play, and in real time this looked like a simple downfield route. Sills is at the bottom of the screen and, as you can see, he has a defender in tight man-to-man coverage. There are 2 safeties but they're playing shallow. It's a first down, so Baylor is trying to hedge between defending a run and defending a pass. To this point West Virginia had run the football well, too. There's nothing exotic about this route, but there's some nuance. At the snap Sills actually backpedals, just a step, and then heads inside on the corner. It looks like he's running straight for the near safety. And, in fact, at the 20, he splits the corner and the safety. The curious part is the near safety doesn't move until Sills is past him. Why? I can only surmise that the safety thought the opposite safety was coming in coverage, which he was. But didn't matter. Sills was too fast for all of them. By the 10-yard line, he had a step on the corner. You can see him try to grab Sills as he ran by, and caught Greer's pass for the touchdown. That little backpedal was so key. It eliminated the corner's ability to make contact at the line of scrimmage, and it didn't slow Sills down a bit. That, to me, is a tremendously run route. Shortly after that, Sills had his second touchdown of the night, a monster 65-yarder that basically put the game away. Sills, again, is at the bottom of the screen, and again Baylor has a single corner on him. There's a linebacker in the intermediate area. But at the snap the linebacker comes in and the safety jogs to his right. So, guess what? Sills has his man in single coverage. That's gonna be a problem. Sills doesn't step back this time. This is all about pure speed and getting downfield. This is the same corner as the first touchdown catch, so Sills knows he can beat him straight up. At the snap, Sills goes to his right and negates any contact the corner might be able to make at the line of scrimmage. Sills stutter steps about 10 yards downfield, freezing the corner just enough so that when he dashes upfield again he has at least a half step. By this point Greer has already decided he's throwing to Sills. Now, in this case, the corner did a good job at closing the coverage gap after the stutter. He's right on Sills' left shoulder. Plus, the safety is on his way, so there's help. But Greer's pass is perfect. He's put it on Sills' right shoulder, so it's basically a back shoulder fade to Sills' sideline shoulder. So no matter how good the coverage is, the corner isn't making that play. In fact, the corner falls as he tries to make the play. The safety isn't going to catch him, either. Sills scores with about 30 yards after the catch. This, to me, was an example of Sills' pure speed. Let's not waste the keystrokes on Sills' accomplishments when I can just copy and paste from his West Virginia bio. This is just a sampling of what he's done: two-time All-Big 12 first-team selection, 2018, 2017, AFCA, Walter Camp All-American, second-team, AP All-American, third-team, Biletnikoff Award semifinalist, WVU Offensive Player of the Year, WVU Team Captain, No. 1 in the Big 12 Conference and number 2 nationally in receiving touchdowns, 15, number 2 in the Big 12 Conference and No. nationally in total touchdowns, 15, No. 5 in the Big 12 Conference and number 47 nationally in scoring, 7.5, number 6 in the Big 12 Conference and No. 40 nationally in receptions per game, 5.4, No. 7 in the Big 12 Conference and No. 63 nationally in total points scored, 90, number 8 in the Big 12 Conference and No. 32 nationally in receiving yards per game, 82.2, No. 10 in the Big 12 Conference in yards per reception, 15.2, his 35 career receiving touchdowns are No. 2 in WVU history, only player in WVU history to have at least 15 receiving touchdowns in 2 different years, led the Mountaineers in 2018 with 65 catches and 15 receiving touchdowns and was No. 2 in yards with 986. This guy should be a first-round pick, right? Well, theDraftNetwork.com ranks Sills as its number 23 receiver in this draft. Chris Trapasso of CBSSports.com ranks Sills as No. 20 at the position and considers him to be a low-end number 3 receiver. DraftScout.com has his projected as the No. 10 receiver in this draft and a third-round pick. Wide receiver is one of those positions where, year after year, there is tremendous depth in the draft. That makes it harder to assign value. So Sills' value, at least going into the NFL Combine, leans toward a third-day pick. That's good news for the Cowboys. I'm not sure they need to spend a day 2 pick on a wide receiver. Amari Cooper is the number 1 receiver. Both Tavon Austin and Cole Beasley are free agents and I expect the Cowboys to keep one of them, but certainly not both. So the Cowboys don't necessarily have to spend a high pick on a receiver, unless the value is there. Based on what I said in Morgantown that night, Sills is a receiver with game-breaking ability. He's a solid route runner who knows how to use his body well to gain position. He played on the outside for WVU, but I think he is capable of moving inside and working in the slot in the NFL on a regular basis, with some coaching. He was a sure-handed receiver at WVU, but he'll have to deal with more hand-fighting and tighter coverage in the NFL. Plus, in 2 years of watching him play for WVU, I've seen him run plenty of deep route and plenty of quick routes where he makes things happen in space. I've seen less of him going over the middle on intermediate routes, and he'll need to show that's part of his skill set, or can be. But, if I'm the Cowboys and I'm at the start of day 3 of the NFL draft, assuming Sills is still on the board, he's worth being on the short list. That depends, of course, on what the Cowboys do in free agency, as well as Sills' ability to improve his stock the next couple of months. That will have a direct impact on what the Cowboys will do at this position on draft weekend. Previous Scouting Cowboys pieces first. In case you missed it, here's my piece on Texas defensive lineman Charles Omenihu. My next. This time it's I explain in my most recent First and 10 piece at 247 Sports at Fish Sports at Alan Bell 247. Oh yeah, that Earl Thomas guy on Tuesday. Our Mike Fisher set my mentions ablaze on Twitter by posting the following: Nina and Earl Thomas, the Texas native in pic.twitter.com/8bh1 my yumph. Mike Fisher, at Fish Sports, February 12, 2019. Then Fish posted the full story. At Dallas Cowboys free agent target. But these tea leaves aren't hard to read. It's an open secret that Thomas would like to end up in Dallas in 2019. He wanted to be in Dallas last season, but the Seahawks wouldn't play ball without a first-round pick. Thomas then decided to play and, well, we all know his season ended with a serious injury and a cart ride off the field in Seattle. Most players live somewhere else in the off-season. For instance, Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers has a home in Green Bay, but he maintains his off-season home in California. So Thomas being in Austin, in of itself, is not necessarily a huge deal. What I think is interesting is the fact that his kids are enrolled in school. Thomas may indeed split time between Austin and Seattle in the off-season. But players don't typically like to uproot their kids unless it's necessary. I'm going to make the assumption that Thomas's kids have generally been going to school in Seattle during his time with the Seahawks. But I can't know that for sure. What I do firmly believe is the same thing that Fish believes, that the Cowboys, despite their protestations that they're looking inward to sign free agents, will take a serious pass at Thomas. Whether they sign him is another matter. The general intends to come back. Our Mike Fisher got a one-on-one interview with Cowboys linebacker Sean Lee on Wednesday, who related to Fish that he intends to come back for the 2019 season. Here's Fish's full story here. Yes, Lee is set to count $10 million against the cap in 2019, and for a backup to Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch that sounds like a lot. The Cowboys have not indicated they're interested in renegotiating Lee's deal at this time. But you never know. Cowboys linebacker Sean Lee one-on-one, I plan on playing, in 2019 https://t.co/qmzu7xcng4, Mike Fisher, at Fish Sports, February 13, 2019 The endless debate. The draft picker Amari Cooper. Consider that a source of constant debate as we get closer to the draft in April. Mike Fisher tackled it here with some help from KD Drummond of USA Today and Todd McShay of ESPN.com. I don't need a lot of analysis to know that, in the long run, this looks like it was worth it. Amari Cooper vs. Pick No. 27, which would have. After the pleasantries, Landon and John dive into their 7-round mock draft. With Dallas first picked 2nd round, the guys decide whether to attack the tight end, wide receiver or defensive tackle positions. The guys settle on an ultra-talented defensive tackle who can improve Dallas' interior pass rush right away. In the 3rd round, the guys discuss adding a running back but decide on adding an athletic tight end whose best days are in front of him. At best Ghost Boys. Witten's future. Everyone seems to want to speculate that, at some point, Tony Romo, Sean Lee and Jason Witten will be coaches. Some Cowboys would like the trio to already be coaching the Cowboys. Well, at least one of them is willing to say that he's interested in coaching one day, and that's Jason Witten. He talked about with Ben and Skin on 105.3 The Fan earlier this week. At 10:53 The Fan exclusive with it Jason Witten on his coaching future, https://t.co/G384TMLs. Mike Fisher, at Fish Sports, February 15, 2019. The Cowboys and the draft. The Dallas Cowboys don't have a first-round pick this year. That's a shame, because as Daniel Jeremiah pointed out, the Cowboys have a pretty solid track record in that round the past 5 years. Dallas Cowboys last 5 first-round picks: 2018 LB Leighton Vander Esch, 2017 DeTaco Charlton, 2016 RB Ezekiel Elliott, 2015 CB Byron Jones, 2014 Zach Martin. Daniel Jeremiah at Move the Sticks, February 15, 2019. Granted, teams should do well in the first round, but it's worth point out that only Elliott is a top 5 pick. All of the other selections were taken in the second half of the first round. Charlton is the only one, to this point, that hasn't performed as hoped. Tweet of the week: just a friendly reminder that the Dallas Cowboys tried to trade up for Paxton Lynch and failed, so they settled for Jalen Smith and Dak Prescott. Picked out twitter.com/ida2feek___ at comedy_motion, February 15, 2019. The last word. Happy Valentine's week, everyone. Pick.twitter.com/BogoFan. Mike Fisher, at Fish Sports, February 14, 2019. Wanna talk Cowboys? Head for the Cowboys 247 message boards or hit up Post-ins on Twitter at @PostAnsPostcard or Mike Fisher on Twitter at Fish Sports.